to Trading with Bubba, and of course, markets are I don't know, they're sleepy. Had a huge rally yesterday on no volume, a little bit of a sell-off today, but actually have cut the losses back fairly substantially. There's just not a lot to do. I mean, again, I hate to be so redundant, but look at the lack of activity in all these markets. Okay, you're seeing very little action in here. Volume is continuing to decrease. Even with yesterday's Bay action, there was no volume. So it's very hard to get overly excited in the markets right now because there doesn't appear to be a heck of a lot to do. So what obviously we're going to do is look, and I think there is a potential trade in NVIDIA, November Victor Delta Alpha. I'm actually working to sell the 510, 520 call spread for this Friday. This is what we call a blow-off action into overbought conditions. So that would be something that I would look at doing here as we go and look at the rest of the charts that we watch every day. Apple, as we mentioned last Thursday, would probably get a bounce, and there was the bounce yesterday. Again, you're getting from these oversold conditions, you get these little bounces, which again makes sense from that standpoint. You understand based that the math model, which is basically what trading is a big old math model. You got overextended to the downside, you were oversold as we were overbought, and you assume to get some action. And the way to trade on those actions are to look to sell potentially here some put spreads. Okay, now here we've bounced back up, let it trade for a while. We're really out of where we were looking to make an entry into a trade. Okay, Amazon, very similar, came down, became oversold, well below the mean. You assume to get a bounce back up, and here we are, we're bouncing right at the mean right now. So again, in Amazon, right now, there's not much really to do. I'd like to see the action from here. I think you have to remember that, especially in the conditions in which we have right now, there is not a lot to do. Okay, and the more that you create trades that you really shouldn't be creating, the more jeopardy, the more risk you're putting yourself at. Okay. The game of trading is much more about patience. And if we can sit back and wait, we can put ourselves in a much better position. Here's coin. All right. We kept telling you, this looks like an opportunity to sell some some call spreads up at the top. And it certainly worked out to be a pretty damn good trade. Now, again, these are not going back and saying, I told you could have. These are things we talked about in trades we specifically talked about on this call last Tuesday and last Thursday. So again, right now, there's not much to do. But if we come down a little bit lower, we might look to sell some put spreads. Again, we don't have or are not married to the direction of the market. What we're looking for is the patterns is where we can take advantage of the markets and put ourselves in the best possible position. Meta continues to churn. Meta, I would be once again still looking to potentially sell some call spreads here, looking to get a little bit to the short side. And not that I'm negative, not that I think that you should be short Meta, but what I'm looking at here is that we're up against resistance and some overbought conditions. We had overbought, mean reversion. Now we're back to being overbought again. Google is just kind of hovering in the middle of nowhere. There's really nothing to do here. It's really going sideways with a slight lean to the upside. IWM, you're down here at some support below the mean, not quite oversold, but you are at some support. So again, you can justify selling some put spreads here. And here I would use, for example, the puts that expire tomorrow on Wednesday. I'm not worried about Friday. Wherever I can go the nearest term of expiration, anytime that we're selling premium, we want to go to the shortest or the nearest time frame. Okay, because of course we're selling premium, we want expiration to get here as fast as possible. All right. Microsoft continues to just churn with inside this little basket here with nothing going. Again, what am I going to do here? I mean, there's nothing to do, and you have to be able to recognize where there is opportunity and where there is a lack of opportunity. And I think if you can do that, again, there is no guarantee that any trade is going to be a guaranteed winner, but what you do guarantee yourself is at least putting yourself in the highest amount of probability. NVIDIA, we talked about earlier, again, it may not work. Again, just because I say that that's the trade I'm going to make doesn't mean it's going to work. But the probabilities are much higher than not. There is a greater chance that NVIDIA will pull back from this overbought condition, then will continue to go higher from here. Okay, remember, it doesn't matter why, but there was news. We got a big spike up. You got heavy volume yesterday, and that's the perfect opportunity to take a chance to look at it. Is it a guarantee that's going to work? No. The only guarantee you have here is that you have the ability to make the trade, and if you manage your money, you'll stay in the business. Okay, the Qs, we're hovering in the mean in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so where am I going to go from here? I mean, again, I have to remember, I don't have to trade except when I feel that it's to my advantage to trade. And I don't see much of an advantage to trade right in here. I know that more than likely this is going to break big one way or the other. Okay, but which way, I have no idea right now. So I would lean, although I am short, I would lean to the upside, okay, based on where we sit right now and based on the past information that I have. Square, Sierra Quebec came down to the same thing again. So you're seeing a consistent view of these markets, okay? So the consistency of reaching certain levels and reversing, whether they reach the upside and reverse back to the downside, or reach the downside and reverse back to the upside. Remember, when you're selling credit, okay, which is what we're working on right now because there isn't much else to do. When you're selling credit, all you're really trying to do is to give yourself the greatest probability, the greatest opportunity to make money, okay? And the way that you make more money is you make a series of successful trades that allow you then to make your position sizing bigger because you've built your account. You are not going to get rich in one day, okay, because you're not going to put yourself in that type of risk exposure to do so. So we want to go back and again, continue just to look, and you can pick whatever group of stocks you want. Now, for my money, the best group to watch are the IWM, SPY, and the Qs, because those have the very short-term expirations, okay? But then the next thing you want stuff that has weekly options and that has liquid weekly options. Remember, we are starting out selling premium. We haven't gotten into a position yet where we want to sell more or trade more. So we're trying to use the market against itself to allow us the opportunity to make the most amount of money. Okay. The SPYs, there's not much here. I mean, could I use this and say, hey, this is resistance here? I could. Okay. If I was desperate to get into a trade, but I don't think you should ever be that desperate to get into a trade. That's the other side of the coin, right? Tesla, we're now coming down to support. So you can see pretty clearly support is here. We're oversold at support. Sell some put spreads. I think that's a pretty good idea. Okay. And of course, you can sell those for Friday. Now, it doesn't guarantee that you'll get the bounce, but remember, you're taking less risk for a shorter term time frame. Okay. And of course, you can then put yourself in a position. Hold on one second for me, please. You can then put yourself in a position, okay, to make the most amount of money, okay, and create opportunity for yourself, okay. And that's what it comes back down to, is creating the opportunity for yourself. So Tesla certainly, and again, if it stays down here, well, then I'll solve spreads again, okay. Win, Okay, when reached up to that overbought, and bang, here it comes down again. Okay, XBI, which I don't trade, but I was going to look at it today, and I may still look at it. Had a blow off yesterday to the upside. Okay, if it gets higher and gets up towards here, I will look at this as a spot to sell deep in the money call spreads. Now, there's a difference between regular premium selling and taking a position. In NVIDIA, okay, here's a position I took. I know it filled. Oops. Naturally, it won't. I'm shut out here for a minute. Okay. Okay. So NVIDIA, okay, I took this position. I just got filled on it, so I'm going to show you what it was. Okay. There we are. Okay. So in NVIDIA, I sold this call spread, okay, for, where are we at here? 25, 22, 50, and 5, 10. Okay. So I sold this put spread for $9. Okay. Excuse me. It's call spread. I sold the call spread for $9. Okay. Which is the same as buying the 522.50, buying the 522.50 put. Okay, I'm risking or buying that put for $9. The spread was $12.50, so I'm buying that put for $3.50. If I just bought the put on the board, it would be basically $6. So I'm buying that put for less money. Now, what am I giving up? By doing it this way versus just buying the put, I'm giving up the potential for unlimited profit. I can only make $9, okay, versus being unlimited. But I don't think that risking an additional $3 or $300 per contract is worth the risk, okay, because of how many more trades I can make over time, and actually how many times will NVIDIA move more than. In this case, I needed to move $15 to get all the money. Okay. If I buy the 522.50 put and it moves $15, I still only get the $12 minus what I paid. So I'm still making more. The difference comes in at about 507. Okay. So again, I got to weigh the probability of 507 trading, okay, versus my position and versus my risk. And I think that I'm a hell of a lot better off by holding and selling the spread, because I don't have to worry about the decay of the option, and I can still make money, versus if we go down to, let's say, 517, my puts are going to be worth nothing, and I'm still going to make a little bit of money on my spread. And that's the objective, and that's what you're trying to look at when you're trading in these markets, is to put yourself in, again, the best possible position, okay, to give yourself the best possible opportunity. Okay, again, it's the business itself is about opportunity. Okay, so now if we go back and just see what's going on in the general markets again, not much. And Nasdaq's having a little bit of a run. Here the Nasdaq is trying to run a little bit, still down on a day, but it was down 140. Now it's down 40. The S&P is down 20. It was down about 40. So we're seeing that much here. Crude oil is higher, but well off its highs. So you're seeing a very quiet, lackluster market, okay, that is not really giving us a dramatic amount of opportunity. And I think that is something that we have to be very, very careful about getting overly aggressive or overly involved into these markets. Okay, I think that you can see the lack of volume, which really is more of a lack of opportunity. Okay, I think that the overall ability to recognize where your opportunities come in, because again, at the end of the day, we can see right now that overall it's pretty damn quiet. Okay. And there's not a lot going on. So why would I want to be overly aggressive in this market that is really showing me a lack of overall activity? I think this is where you have to be very disciplined. And my recommendation to many of you, okay, is to either study and prepare or to take the day off. Now, again, obviously, it's a lot nicer to take days off in the summertime when the weather is nice. You can play golf, tennis, whatever it is you want to do. The winter, it's a little bit harder. As a floor trader, in the summer, we'd go to the golf course. In the winter, we'd play cards or play backgammon, but we were always keeping an eye on the market. So in case something did happen, we'd get a chance. Okay. And that is something that you have to and want to overall remember, okay, is you're looking for opportunities. And the opportunities that arise for you are what you're trying to always accomplish, okay? And always the position that you're trying to put yourself in, okay? It is a business about finding the best opportunity, and the lack of activity on in these markets right now is extremely frustrating, okay? Because again, we're dealing in a situation that is really given us a lack of opportunity to really participate. So you're seeing like a straight spike up here in the S&P. Okay, but where's the volume? Where's my trade? What am I going to do with it? And I think that is, again, the biggest thing you can learn in this business is no trade is a trade. Making a decision not to get involved is the same as making a trade, okay? Because you're making a decision not to trade it. When you're in these very slow, quiet conditions, you find yourself seeing what we call a mirage, okay, of a trade that really doesn't exist. But you feel compelled to have to get involved because you're here trading and you got to make money. Well, remember, it's not always about the money you make. It's about the money you don't lose, putting yourself in a position into these markets that create grief for yourself, okay? And again, as we're watching, we're going to go back and take a quick peek here. Okay, again, we're still not getting much activity in volume. I mean, so it's hard to want to get overly involved into this market right now with the overall conditions. Again, it shows that there's a lack of true activity that is here right now. And for you and for everybody, I think it's just easier sometimes to sit it out and pass. Okay. Because do you want to chase up something that is now rallied basically parabolically higher when you know that in your mind there's probably should be some retracement of the mean? So the markets right now are trading very inconsistently. And for me and for my money, I think it makes more sense to sit it out and observe and wait for better opportunity, because opportunity will come. As we've seen, there are things to do. But in the meantime, just be careful. Don't put yourself in jeopardy. Put yourself in a position to understand, like now, I didn't want to switch off of this. I'm going to make a trade here before we go. Okay. So there is a trade setting up potentially here as I'm watching here, there's a trade potentially setting up here in crude oil. Okay. Now, obviously, I'm not going to have enough time to make it with you, but I will be looking to short crude oil. I'll be swooping over to my 1 minute here shortly. I will report in on Thursday how it did. But in the meantime, have a great day, everybody. We'll see you back here on Thursday. Enjoy, be careful, and have a great day. We'll see you later.